Hello my friends, welcome back to another video of GDR/RWS. I have a lot for you to see, although it's kind of scattered. Now, this is bare bones, just starting to work on stuff, but I do want to share some plans about Free Britain. That is a big part of this episode. Another big part of this episode is actual city changes, province changes to Britain. That is important as well, and also a couple miscellaneous things. So first of all, let's start with the actual physical changes. And the first one I will talk about is actually one in the Balkans, interestingly enough. In the Balkan Peninsula, I have changed this area because in base game Hoi 4, there is a peninsula that goes out to about here. It goes out quite far, and it's just there. And in real life, it's not there. It's not there at all, you guys. I don't know what they were thinking. Anyway, I've taken the opportunity to get rid of that, and that's thanks to, like usual, a very nice Discord suggestion. Very much appreciate that. Appreciate when you guys do suggestions. So I've nixed that and kind of changed the shape of this, and also taken the opportunity to change the shape of this area, change the shape of this island, and do all that. I also that's it. Now, next up in physical changes is actually in the United Kingdom. I have added a total of 10 cities. This is thanks to a very nice member of my Discord. His name is Spino. He has done a lot of preemptive work for me in scouting out cities that are not in base game Hoi 4 for me to add at some point. Think of cities in America. Look how empty Texas is. Stuff like that. He has done actually a lot of work searching those up and compiling them in list that I can then actually translate into the game. But I've done UK first. The UK has been done, and like I said, I've added 10 cities, so let me show you all of them. Now, excuse my pronunciation of these, it might be a little bit off. I am not British. I am a full-blooded American. My family's been here for 130 years, so sorry guys, I know a lot of you are from the UK. Let me know if I really mess up. But we got Middlesbrough right here, and that is just south of Newcastle. That is a new city that has been added, and right south of that is the second one. It's the city of York, in, funnily enough, Yorkshire. Very important there. And next up, if let's stick east, we have Peterborough. That is a state right around here. That is a city right around here. And then just south of that, I've added the quite familiar town of Cambridge. Cambridge is now in the game. As it should be. Hello, Oxford. That's cool. You're not new, but you are a new city. I added you a while ago, so you don't count. It wouldn't be 11. It is 10. Now, down south here, I've added the city of Eastbourne in Sussex. So that is very cool. And I have done some changes to the province shapes over here. Portsmouth has been moved, and Southampton has been added right here in the middle of right where this island is. If you want to know what Southampton is famous for, think boats, think shipping, think Titanic. All of that stuff is relevant to Southampton. I actually recommend you search up Southampton history. It is pretty interesting in Southampton modern history. Now, over here is the majority of the changes that are left over, except for one. They are all in Wales, or maybe except for two. And that is, first I have one, oh god, Worcester? I'm not sure, but it's just west of Birmingham, and it is now in the game. And then right here we got Gloucester, I want to say, in the West Midlands. So that is very neat. And then in Wales we have the city of Cardiff as it was before, but I've actually added a new province here. This province is new to the game, for Newport, a neighboring city. So that's very cool. I've also changed the position of Cardiff, as it was kind of way too far up north, and the same is true for Swansea, so I've moved that south, and I've also added the city of Neath, so that is now just north of it. I've also adjusted these province shapes to fit along with that. Pretty cool, I think, and I'm pretty sure that would be everything. So I've added one right there, one right there, one right there, one right there. I've added one right there, 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 and one right there. This is very nice city changes. Now, another change, as you might be able to tell in the top left of the video, is I have for now paused economy stuff. I got a lot of hate for it, which, you know, is what you would assume. Never gotten so many dislikes on a video, and that's fine. But a lot of you that weren't just straight up like, I hate this, did bring up good points. It would be hard to integrate with a lot of other Hoi 4 systems. It could break very easily, it could be very overpowered or underpowered, and it just messes with a lot of stuff. You cannot make PP money. It just doesn't work. They're two separate things. I could make it its own variable, but that'd be quite annoying to do. And still would have the same problems of balancing, fitting in with other stuff, and, you know, it's a lot. So I'm not saying that it's gone forever. It could come back if I get better at modding, if the reception becomes stronger for it. I know it won in the poll, but I decided to pick the second option for that poll, which, if you might know, is not the option to remove everything. I've kept one thing. I've kept inflation. This is now the inflation rate tab, and all it has is your inflation rate. Again, this image is obviously a placeholder. Why did I keep inflation? Well, out of everything, it's the only thing that matters. I will tell you that I've been thinking about working on a United States update for a long time. This will be a very nice update with election, graphics, GUI, stuff like that, and a whole new focus tree. I love the United States. It is dog shit to play in Hoi 4. So to me, that's a very important update, and also a very important test of my skills, and a thing I want to do as a modder. And it just doesn't work if I don't have some sort of thing to represent inflation. And I do believe that it is such a minor thing that it would not piss off most people who are anti-economy. And I've had people say, I don't want to learn economy no matter what, no matter how small it is. But all it is at the end of the day is it's a law, a new law in the game, in the law tab, that is affected by certain things, and every so often you'll get an event about it, and you have a decision to lower it or increase it. That's all it is. If you're really so against it, I don't believe you would be playing most mods at all, because a lot of mods out there in Hoi 4 have these systems, whether it be a decision and law system like that, an idea system, a national spirit system, I mean, or whether it be systems in the focus tree. So I really don't believe that it would be that big of a deal to have this one, because all mods have systems like that. It's not as scary as you think of it. I don't believe people should be as opposed to it as you are. Now, of course, like I said, I do agree that the economic system as a whole should not be in the game, at least at this point. But I do believe this is fine. It's dynamic, it has a little something, and it's not crazy at all. And again, I could still add a way to make it so inflation is handled by AI and you don't have to worry about it. I don't know how hard that would be, but I'm sure it wouldn't be too hard. So if for some reason you're still against this, these numbers can be fixed as well. Obviously, it's not good to have hyperinflation. It's also not good in ways to have low inflation. That's how inflation works. Interesting feature. Now again, revenue's gone. It's called political power again. It's called political power and everything again. And there are some economic systems. Hello. There are some economic systems that I've left here. I gotta change this description now. And the only ones that are left over are the inflation ones. Ignore loans. That's gonna go to in just a second. I'm also removing bailouts. That's another thing that's gonna be gone. Maybe it can come back in the future, but not right now. So all that will be left is increase inflation, decrease inflation, and then these two. These two are just, you know, decisions that you spend political power on. It's pretty simple. Everything else will be gone. I have added one thing for the economy though, instead of just taking away. Although it's not directly related to the economy anymore, it could have been. But now I have shifted it to be what its, you know, purpose would probably be, which was just for you know, political purposes. It's really the only way you can change it from economy to something else, and that is this new diplomatic action. Of course, as you saw, I've made a new mod where you can purchase puppets and mark puppets now. That's a cool feature for multiplayer. It's very useful with state transfer tool and for roleplay. Pretty neat. If you haven't seen that video, I recommend that you do. It's a separate mod right now, but it will be in this as well. But I've also added a new one called Send Political Support. So instead of sending money to each other, you can now send political support. And of course, you need the actual PP first to do it. And it works just like the other one. It works similar to how it would be if it was an economic thing, which it isn't anymore. Where, you know, it has all of these things that are here that affect whether or not they'll do it, if they have good relations with you, if the political situation is bad or good, if they have the same ideology, if they're fighting you, etc., etc. So now you can send that We will offer French Republic political support. They can either accept or reject our support. And if we tag to France, I have a new icon for it made as well. It's a little thumbs up. Cute. Send political support requests from the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is requesting our acceptance of political support as a gift to our country. They've requested we use their support to bolster our political situation and gain political power. Now lastly is the United Kingdom Free Britain content. Now there is not much in right now. There's nothing at all pretty much. But I do want to talk about the ideas for paths you can go down, how it would look, etc. So let's do it. In the focus tree for Britain, I have added one focus, that is Britain's End, ? And this becomes available when you've capitulated, you're fighting the Germans, and you are still democratic, because it would not really work with most of the alt history, or to have to rework it to fit that. We'll see. But this is where it starts, of course, and then I imagine it would split off from here. Also, this won't be 70 days. Oh my goodness. That's a lot of time. I imagine it would split at some point, because there's two options that you kind of have as a Free Britain. It's kind of abandoned. Left in Africa, and really that would be it. As you can either keep your government, kind of like Free France, in your colonies and try to survive that way, and of course have your governments in exile and all that, or you can collaborate more closely with the new faction head, which I decided to make the Dominion of Canada. And if you were to do that, I imagine it would lead into some sort of concessions at the end of the war, or maybe more influence that Canada has. Maybe you'd see this being given to Canada maybe a little bit earlier, you know, or stuff like that, or maybe Canadian overlordship of Bermuda or Jamaica. Yeah. Who knows? Of course, there has to be some sort of reason to accept it as Canada, right? So that makes sense. But then, if you're playing as Canada, you would move to them. You would pick who should represent you in government, and you should it should split off into getting support from the people of Canada and then keeping morale high for Britain itself as you try to take the home isles back. And I'm thinking maybe you could have some sort of decision or timer where you have a certain amount of time to actually take the home isles back before there's just nothing you can really do. And at that point, I think it would kind of freeze the situation at that point. Maybe war with Free Britain at least would stop. Maybe Free Britain would be out of the Allies, and they would be kind of just left to their own devices in whatever they have left, probably bits of Africa, bits of Arabia, and kind of just be abandoned. And for Germany, that would be very good. I don't see making it very easy for Germany to gobble up all of this land. I just don't see them fighting in sub-Saharan Africa in a realistic scenario. It's just not going to happen. So that would be like the death of the British Empire there, of course. Of course, the dominions are still there in theory, but maybe they would also kind of collapse based on certain things. It's a very interesting thought. But that would be kind of what that path would be, is it would be balancing those things. Meanwhile, let's say the right path, that's the left path, this is the right path, would be all about an actual, supporting Free Britain. And that would immediately give you a choice, I think, where you would pick what leader you want. Now, it could stay with Churchill. If Churchill's alive, it could stay with someone else. Or I was thinking maybe it would be quite possible for it to end up with a military leader, kind of like Free France. Maybe Montgomery would make sense, or maybe another military general. Montgomery has his flaws, of course, but he's very recognizable. It kind of makes sense to have him as a leader. But maybe that could be. And then in that path, you'd be looking at more anti. The balance would then be, instead of Canadians and the Britons, it would be, and the British, it would be the Africans and the British, as they would, be kind of the main stake all of a sudden in the British Empire. The British Empire will mostly be made up of Africans in these colonies. Now being led by a government that doesn't even have, a home anymore. The British Isles are gone. So that would definitely be the fighting more so with resistance movements. Of course, I believe that would happen in both cases, but it would happen in this one more. It would be more front and center, of course. Maybe fighting like actual, wars that pop up, like actual nations that pop up trying to resist everything. You'd be a lot closer with South Africa. That would be your main ally, would be South Africa. Wow, what a nice ally. So that would be kind of that dynamic there. And then maybe Germany would even have options to support the rising up of certain areas. That would be interesting. But yeah, those are the two paths for Free Britain. They seem pretty interesting to me. Now let me know your thoughts on that. I know that's a lot of yapping and not too much content, but this is kind of spread out, but there is some stuff. And I will continue to develop this stuff more, of course. But I wanted to give you my thoughts on where I'm going first, to see if we're on the same page, see if it's an interesting concept, and all that kind of stuff. So thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. Thank you so much for my members. I appreciate you guys so much now. You guys get access to special videos, including this one. There will be a special one up as well that is a little bit longer, a little bit more detailed. We'll talk about things that most people are not hearing quite yet, and it's a cool way to support me as well, of course. But you are also supporting me very much by being here at the end of this video anyway. I really appreciate everyone, every last one of you, and I hope to see you soon for the next video where we get a little bit more in depth, get a little bit more content out for Free Britain, and we make the path a little bit brighter for the country. We'll see kind of what's going to happen a lot clearer at that point. So look forward to seeing that. in the next few days. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.